Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Little Give. Go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, tell us what you're all about.
Hi, my name is Janae Finley, and I am a physical therapist, and I work with breast cancer patients in Atlanta, Georgia. And I work for a small nonprofit called Turning Point Breast Cancer Rehab.
Oh, wow. Okay, tell us a bit about how you got started in this and what you're up to.
Kind of a weird story. I actually came to Turning Point as a patient. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer pretty early in life. I was diagnosed at the age of 31. And even though I was already a physical therapist and I already should have known what to do to get my body back where it needed to be after surgery, I really struggled. I struggled with not only the fact that I couldn't make myself better, but the fact that I had to be so dependent on other people. So actually my plastic surgeon referred me to Turning Point, and the kind of running joke is that I came there and I never left. So I've been there for about almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in January. And the great thing is that I get to inspire others through what I've been through. And I feel like I really get to connect with patients kind of on a different level.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have you on the show is that you take your own pain and you turn it into purpose to really help others. Tell us a bit about Turning Point and how they came to be and a little bit more details on that.
Turning Point was founded, I think, back in 2003. So we're almost in our 21st year. And it was founded by a two-time breast cancer survivor. Really what she found was kind of between kind of surgery and treatment and back to regular life, there's this huge gap that exists in care. And what she found was not only, it's not just the physical, and I understood that as well. It's the physical, it's the mental, it's the emotional, it's the social part of it. So she created Turning Point to fulfill all those needs in one place. So in addition to the physical therapy, we do have counselors on staff, we have nutritionists on staff, we have education events every month, sometimes 2 events every month. And then we also have nutritionists and really anything that you can think of in terms of rehabbing from a surgery and putting you back into your regular life, we provide where I am at this clinic.
I love that so much. So you talked a little bit about how this affects the person who's experiencing cancer, emotionally, physically, mentally, all the different ways. Can you talk a little bit more about that? You know, cancer touches so many people these days, and I'm sure there's somebody out there who has somebody in their life that has cancer and they don't really know how to support them. Can you give a little bit of detail of how they can support them in the ways that they need it at that time?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because we are starting a second set of what we call our survivorship workshop for caregivers and support members, because really the understanding that we all have at this point is that cancer doesn't just affect that person. It affects them, it affects their family, it affects the people that they're caring for. And the mental load that it can have on not only the patient, but the people who are caring for you is also heavy. And a lot of times people get into this kind of, I don't really know what to say. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So I don't really know how to be supportive. So I just say nothing. And sometimes what that does is kind of make that person feel like they're not being supported. So then they get kind of in this phase of loneliness, honestly. So I think that kind of providing care for not just the patient, but the patient as a whole, including their family and their friends and the people that are helping care for them, not only helps them kind of improve, but it also helps their family unit as a whole kind of move forward into more of that survivorship phase.
That's so true. It's so true. And then that happens all the time where somebody's experiencing a tragic loss or cancer or whatever the situation may be. And the people surrounding them really want to wrap their arms around them and support them, but they don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some tips off, the top of your head that you could maybe share with the audience on a way that they could support them in a way that's something that's going to actually help and not kind of hurt more than it helps?
Honestly, through personal experience, I think the thing that honestly helps the most is just, it doesn't really necessarily matter what you say, but talk to us normally. Don't make us seem like we're this fragile piece of glass that's going to break. Like, we want to have regular conversations. We want to know what's going on in the world while we've been sitting in the house and rehabbing. But we also want to talk about things that are not related to cancer. We want to talk about, maybe we don't want to talk about politics, but we want to talk about things like, other family members or holidays coming up. Just give us something kind of positive to look forward to and not make it seem like we're going to break at any second.
Yes, I think that's great advice. It's just, I'm still the same person I was before. So why do people change in the way that they look at you or talk to you or treat you? So I think
Exactly.
that's great advice. Do you have any other tips or or information that you would want to give to somebody out there who's going through this, who maybe needs some support and maybe a better way that they could ask for it?
I think the probably the best way to ask for it is just honestly tell people what you need. I think that's the other thing that people have a hard time with is I don't know what they need. So be open with your communication and be honest about what it is that you need and what you don't need or what you don't want or what makes you feel a certain way. I think we've got to make sure that not just the patient going through something, but the family as a whole has a good communication between everyone. So just ask what they need, what they don't need, and kind of take it from there.
Hi, my name is Justin Clark, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Driving Single Parents, a 501c3 nonprofit serving the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County, Texas. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the great work that our organization is doing for the citizens of San Antonio. What you're about to see is just a few photos and videos of the way that we're changing lives for single parents in and around San Antonio, Texas. Our first giveaway took place in April of 2017, just one short month after the formation of our organization. John, a Bexar County resident, was the victim of a horrible drunk driver incident. He and his daughter survived the crash, and we were so proud to give our first car to this deserving family. Fast forward to 2020, a very difficult year for nonprofits. We were able to secure 4 vehicles for single parents in need. Our organization, including our board of directors, list of partners, and portfolio of people we've been able to help in San Antonio, continues to grow, and it's all thanks to donors and local community organizations that have helped us along the way. This giveaway took place in 2021 and shows that we continue to help single parents even after the struggles brought about by COVID-19. Because of limited funds and the overwhelming need, we at Driving Single Parents are incredibly selective with the people we help. Some are victims of domestic violence. Others had a spouse pass away tragically, or otherwise fell on hard times. These single parents show adversity in the face of challenge and aren't looking for a handout. We offer a hand up and help get them back in the driver's seat. Many of the single parents we help go on to graduate college, get promotions, get married, mentor others, and some have even been so touched by the gift we gave them that they have decided to join our board of directors to pay it forward and ensure the continued growth of our organization. If you would like to help our organization continue to grow and continue to help single parents in need in San Antonio, Texas, and Bexar County, Texas, we would really appreciate your support. Please visit us online at www.drivingsingleparents.org. Thank you.
So obviously, you went through this situation that was definitely not favorable, and I'm sure that it was a lot of struggle. What was it about you that really made you want to join Turning Point and really start to give back?
I honestly felt like I always knew there was gonna be something more for me in life. I was a PT for about 6.5 years before I came to Turning Point, and it got to the point where I felt like I was kind of going through the motions every day, treating the same type of dysfunction and disorders, and I just felt like I wasn't being fulfilled in life. And I knew at some point there was going to be the right place, the right time, and the right situation. I never in a million years ever thought it would be breast cancer that got me to kind of my purpose in life, but I immediately felt home when I came to Turning Point, and I really, probably by visit 3, knew that this is something that was going to be amazing for me from then on out.
Wow. So what is your favorite part of being a part of this organization and the work that you do?
Oh my gosh, the patients are my favorite part. And the fact that we have so many services and we really bring people into survivorship means that we kind of create a little family. So we don't just see patients for like 2, 3, 4 visits and then send them on their way. We have patients that come back years later for educational events. They come back to help us out with photo shoots. They come back to come to events. We have survivorship events and things like that. So I love the fact that we get to know our patients on more of a personal level, and I get to know about their family and their friends, and it's really like a little small family.
It's beautiful. I know you've done quite a bit of research as well. You want to talk a bit about that and what you've learned?
Yeah, there's the research is kind of crazy, kind of daunting. About 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, and that number is continuing to rise. And the average age at which patients are diagnosed is actually decreasing. Unfortunately, a lot of the newer patients that we're seeing in our clinic are mid to late 30s and into their early 40s as well. But research shows that if you kind of address needs early post breast cancer and also bring about more awareness with screening and things like that, you can kind of not prevent breast cancer, but you can help increase the early stage diagnosis of breast cancer. So instead of those later stages, those 3 and 4 stage diagnoses, if you educate people and really encourage, going to get your mammogram or knowing your family history, so that maybe if you have a family history, you can get screening early, but really, really addressing those family histories that you've got in your background really seems to help things.
Hi, my name is Andrew Fraley, and I believe that sometimes we all need a little bit of help. If you're in the San Antonio community and you need some legal help, call me at 210-725-4658.
So you're talking, early 30s and early 40s. What would you say about some doctors think that that's too early and maybe insurance wouldn't want to pay for screening? How could somebody be their own advocate and making sure that they get those early screenings so they can catch it earlier?
The important thing about that is knowing your family history. I do know that a lot of generations before us are pretty secretive with what went on with them and maybe things that they've gone through. But if you can get a better understanding of your family history, that can actually be the key to get early screening. A lot of companies will actually give early screening and give genetic testing if you have a family history of breast cancer. And if a genetic component is found, so if you test positive for what's called BRCA1 or BRCA2, or even a CHEK2 gene, a lot of times you get imaging approved by insurance earlier than, which is now age 40. So sometimes you can get it approved earlier than that if you have a positive gene.
Wow, that's so interesting. And that what I don't understand is, I know a lot of insurance will reject having somebody do early screening, but actually it's a win for everyone because the patient gets the care early on and it saves the insurance money a ton.
Exactly.
So I just don't understand why they give people such a hard time with that. So it's good to know that there's things that you can say as far as like, hey, I have a history of this, or this was in my medical background. And then that can help you get that early treatment that you need.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's talk more about the events that you have there with the Turning Point.
So as I kind of mentioned earlier, we do have educational events. Sometimes they're more educational, sometimes they're more fun. We usually have 1 or 2 a month. What we got coming up now is our pickleball tournament, which is pretty cool. It's actually the first year of us doing this, so we're really, really excited about it. Again, getting to know our patients and knowing what they love. We have tons of patients that play pickleball. And before patients mentioning this to me, I'd never heard of pickleball, never knew that it was close to tennis or that it had a different racket or what kind of ball that it used. So with the interest of our patients, we came up with this fundraiser and decided to do pickleball this year. It's happening in September, so right around the corner on the 21st. And then we also have every year, we have an annual gala. So it's called the Pink Affair. It happens every March. And it's probably one of our bigger fundraisers that we do every year, but it's a fundraiser, but it turns out to be a fun event more than anything else. So it does raise money for us, but we love it because we get to see a lot of our patients that come. We get to see a lot of familiar faces and donors and see what's going on in the community. And as you can tell by the pictures on our website, we do have a good time at this event.
So instead of it being a fundraiser, it's a fun raiser.
Yes, exactly. We get to get all dressed up because our patients see us in scrubs all the time. So then when they see us out of scrubs and with makeup on, they're kind of like, who is that? So
Who is
it's
that?
really fun to get dressed up too.
That's awesome. So is this something just in Atlanta, or is this something that people can get resources from all over the world?
We're actually only in Atlanta. We're actually a very rare small nonprofit that has so many services in one place. There are some similar entities out there that sometimes just have breast cancer rehab itself in terms of the physical therapy, but there are no other facilities like us that offer all of the nutrition and the counseling and the massage services all in one place.
You said massage services. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we actually have 3 massage therapists that work with us. 2 of them work in our main clinic in Sandy Springs, and they can do anything from just a regular deep tissue massage to more of an oncology-based massage because they are oncology trained. So patients that are suffering from things like lymphedema and maybe they need drainage for that lymphedema to help decrease swelling, they can do specialized services to help with that. And then our 3rd massage therapist actually works in our grant-funded satellite clinic. She does a lot of the same services, but the cool thing about her, and as well as kind of a lot of our other patients, she is a cancer survivor herself. So,
oh, that's so awesome. That's so great that, of course you go through these experiences that are just, hard times, and then you take that and turn it into something that's helping others. So that's amazing that she is a breast cancer survivor now helping breast cancer survivors. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us, go ahead.
I was just going to say the cool thing about it too is that because we offer the services in the same building, if the massage therapist has a question or something that they feel like maybe needs to be focused on, they can just pull us aside really quickly or go through a note and say, hey, I see this. What should I focus on? What should I avoid? What kind of position do you think I should put her in to target this area? So the communication with them is it's really nice to have someone able to kind of feed off of. And then when the patient gets in there, they feel more comfortable because they already know that someone knows, oh, I can't lay on my left side because there's more pain when I lay on my left side. But if you position me this way, I have a lot less pain. So it is really cool to have a good flow with everyone there.
Absolutely. So what would you say is one of the things that a lot of people don't know about breast cancer that they should know?
A lot of things that people don't know are actually the signs and symptoms of breast cancer. So some of the early signs and symptoms are things that we never would have even thought related to breast cancer. Obviously, most people know if I feel a lump, that's probably a sign and I need to get it checked out. But things like an inverted nipple or even a flat nipple are early signs of breast cancer, as well as anything coming from the nipple outside of milk can also be a sign. And then one of the other things that kind of sticks out in my head is if you have an area of skin on the breast that almost looks like the skin of an orange, also one of those things that you could probably go get checked out early on.
Oh, wow. Those are all symptoms that I have not yet heard about. So that's so, it's so good. The education component's not there. I mean, I know a lot of people, it's kind of like you said earlier, like in the family history, they kind of hide things and they don't really want to tell anybody about it or talk about it. They feel like a certain way about it. So I think that the education part of educating people about the signs and symptoms, like you said, are things we don't know already. It's nothing to be shameful about, nothing to be afraid to talk about. So I'm grateful that you're sharing all of that. Is there anything else that somebody out here who's listening to this episode right now, you would want to share with them?
I would definitely say be your own advocate. You know your body better than anybody else. So if something doesn't feel right or seem right, advocate for yourself with your doctors to get tested, to get early mammogram screening. And if one doctor says no, doesn't mean you can't try a different doctor. So most of us will go to a PCP. And if the PCP is like, no, I don't think so, but you really feel like in your heart something's going on, then try a different one of your caregivers, because all it takes is one person to say yes to get that screening. And it can start off kind of a whole change in your life that happens earlier than it would have if you hadn't gotten screened early.
Yeah. And even if there's nothing there, it's a great peace of mind. So either way, it's a win to get that early screening because you catch it early, and that can really, be life-changing if you catch it early on. And then if you find that there's nothing, then that's also that peace of mind component. So there's really no reason to get tested early and make sure that you're at tip-top health.
Exactly.
So. want to switch off now to my 2 questions I ask all of my guests. The first one is, can you give the audience an example of a little thing that they can do in their community that might just be a little give on their end, but might make a big impact on the other side?
It's something we kind of mentioned earlier, actually, is education. So by knowing those kind of 4 outside of the ordinary symptoms of breast cancer and getting to know those symptoms and maybe educating someone else, that little small amount of education that you give may change someone's life in the future. Someone who wouldn't have thought about those symptoms, maybe in the back of their mind, they're like, okay, I remember someone telling me something about this. Maybe I should get this checked out. And that early screening a lot of times can lead to an earlier stage of diagnosis versus a later stage of diagnosis. And the earlier you are in your diagnosis, the more treatable the cancer is. So I think education is one of those little things that we can do for one another and really make a huge impact on someone's life.
So true, and can be life-saving. So I love that. Share the education component. What about, is there a time in your life where somebody did something little for you that might have just been, a little give on their end, but really made an impact on you and in your life?
When I think about this question, it's kind of an interesting kind of journey, how I got to Turning Point. I mentioned that by day 3, I felt like Turning Point was going to be my home, but really day 2 of my rehab process there was really kind of what changed my life. My physical therapist at the time kind of casually said, don't you want to work here? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in my life. At the time, my daughter was 2, and I was really trying to figure out where I needed to go in life. So she just said, just think about it and let me know. So I said, okay. I got home and I kind of really sat down and thought about what she said. And like I said, I really felt like there was going to be the right place, the right time, the right situation to come along and help me find my purpose. So when I saw her by visit 3, she casually asked me again, did you think about it? And I said, okay. So that little small ask on her part has really changed the entire course of not just my career, but my life and what I feel makes me who I am and what I feel I can do for others in life. So if you're out there, Lauren, hi. I can't thank her enough for that little small ask that has really changed the course of my entire life.
Great story. Thank you, Lauren. That's amazing. And that's the thing about the question is, you never know what kind of impact you're making on somebody else. You never truly know. And I know through the work that you've done that you're touching people every single day, and you're making that little give to somebody that turns into a big give every single day through your work. So I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared with us today. Why don't you tell the audience where they can find out more about you and get to know you and all you do?
You can find us on our social medias. myturningpoint.org is our website. We're also on Instagram and Twitter, My Turning Point Breast Cancer, as well as My Turning Point BC. And then we're also on X and LinkedIn as well. So follow us on all our socials.
So if there's somebody out there watching today and they want to get involved with this nonprofit, what is it that they could do to get involved? And other than donations, obviously we need donations. All of us nonprofit founders and nonprofits need donations. Is there anything else that you guys would need that the audience can provide?
Connections. So we mentioned earlier kind of about our website, but on our website, you can see not just our events, but you can also see our outreach initiatives. And our outreach initiatives are all about connections and how we can connect with community partners. And those community partners then turn into bigger projects for us. So one of our biggest initiatives that we have is called our Atlanta initiative. And then we also have our Georgia outreach initiative. And these are all kind of smaller initiatives under this really big, what we call GAP program. But the thing that makes these initiatives thrive are the connections we have with the community. So they're all community-based initiatives, and it's really about bringing rehab into the communities that we treat versus patients traveling across the entire state to see us, for one session for an hour. So connections is really kind of the biggest thing for us.
Great ask. Fantastic. All right, everybody out there who's watching this episode today, if you felt passionate about this nonprofit, please go visit their website, learn more. and get in touch with them and help make some connections that can maybe help foster a new relationship for this nonprofit that can help them grow. And if you're passionate about the nonprofit and you love what you see on the website, please go make a donation. $1 or $5 multiplied by the many people we have watching this episode today can make a huge impact to these nonprofits. Thank you so much for being on today. And thank you, Lauren, for the little give that you gave. And we will see you all next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Little Give. If you would like to learn more about how I highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help others, or maybe you'd like to be a guest, or maybe you know a nonprofit that you would like to see featured on a future episode of Little Give, you can find all the information on our website at littlegive.com. If you'd like to get involved with our kindness clip segment, please do send in those videos. Send them via email to cindy@littlegive.com. Or you can tag us on any social media under Cindy Whitteman or #LittleGive. If you'd like to know more about our podcast, you can also find us on all major streaming platforms under Little Give Podcast. Please do find our Facebook group under Little Give TV show and join it. We'd love to keep you up to date with future episodes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to highlight the next ordinary person doing extraordinary things to help others. See you next time.